Hello, everyone. Welcome into Above My Pay Grade. Have you guys ever watched Shark Tank? I like that show. The music and all, and people get in there and they're all nervous and they're pitching their product. One of the hosts, Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, he seems like a very shrewd businessman. He asks the people pitching him if every I is dotted, if every T is crossed, and even if it's a mom selling cupcakes, he will ask them what their profit margins are, and if he realizes that they're profitable, he wants 50% equity, royalties, what have you. So he's always protecting himself, which is understandable. He's a businessman and an investor, which makes it all the more confusing that he invested in FTX. He was such a believer in Sam Bankman-Fried because as the story unwinds, even somebody with no economic background, not even an investor, would go, this does not pass the smell test. Sam Bankman-Fried and his business organization does not pass the smell test at all, to include the fact that they did not even have an accountant at the business, not even an accountant. And yet, people like Mr. Wonderful invested. Doesn't that seem odd to you? That's the oddest part of this story. It's not that people will try to get one over on the public or the retail investor. It's not that people start Ponzi schemes. It's that intellectual and experienced investors didn't even take a look under the hood. That is confusing to me. And my intuition, this is just a guess, is it had to do a lot with politics and the power players in Washington and regulation and yada, yada, yada. And maybe it's as simple as greed is blinding. Maybe that's a simple answer to why these people invested. But that doesn't explain, if they're greedy, why haven't they been blinded before? And why were they blinded by this very obvious Ponzi scheme? Seems odd to me. Well, let's take a look at this article. The affidavit came out for Sam Bankman-Fried, and it's pretty damning. So the guy who consolidated Enron and did the Chapter 11 with them is the same new CEO of FTX, John Ray III. He saw the unwinding and liquidation of Enron, admits he said, I've never in my career have seen such a complete failure of corporate controls and such a complete absence of trustworthy financial information as occurred here. Isn't that weird? Right? So something so obvious, or should be obvious to a sophisticated investor, somebody who's investing millions of dollars, not to mention it should be obvious to regulators who this guy had normal meetings with. Again, this goes back to my video from earlier today. Do you think these people are ignorant in these positions, like at the SEC? And if they are, why do we have them there, number one? Or do you think they're evil? Because these people, when they look at Sam Bankman-Fried's books, and these people are trained to do this at the SEC. That's what they are trying to prevent. And yet, the people that were investigated at the SEC for this for crypto Ponzi scheme stuff were people like Kim Kardashian, who sold was pumping some kind of coin of hers or whatnot. But that is small, very small potatoes compared to Sam Bankman-Fried. And the question is, can these people be bought? My answer is yes. People in the government can be bought. Again, show me the incentives, I'll show you the result. So if they can be bought, guess what? People are going to try, like Sam Bankman-Fried. And he got special treatment. People didn't even look at his books, it appears. And if they did, it's even worse because they saw what they saw and they didn't say anything, especially people at the SEC. So reading more from the article here. According to Ray, he has located only a fraction of the digital assets the FTX group that they hope to recover during the Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They so far have secured 740 million of the cryptocurrency in offline cold wallets, a storage method designed to prevent hacks. This is just a fraction of the 10 to 50 billion in liabilities the company disclosed in its bankruptcy filings. They were selling Bitcoin, for instance, at FTX, and they were selling paper Bitcoin, meaning an IOU for a Bitcoin. FTX didn't actually buy Bitcoin on the open market. So if you were to redeem your Bitcoin from FTX, then they would end up having to go buy it on the open market and then send it to you. So when you, let's say, deposited $10,000 in FTX and you hit a buy order for Bitcoin, that was just an IOU from FTX. That wasn't actually you owning Bitcoin. And then they took that $10,000 and they loaned it out. Unbelievable, right? And you think to yourself, what is the purpose of regulators if they can't even see the most obvious things in the world? That's a good question. Why do we even have them? Seems like they're there to grease palms and help certain businesses, maybe help political actors. Further reading here. FTX did not maintain centralized control of its cash. It failed to keep an accurate list of bank accounts and account signatories or pay sufficient attention to the credit worthiness of banking partners, according to Ray. Advisors don't yet know how much cash FTX Group had when it filed for bankruptcy, but it has found that 560 million attributable to various FTX entities so far. It is a endless web of shell game with FTX. Again, these people exist and they will always exist. People who are scammers, people who want to get one over on the general public. Why do we have regulators? It blows my mind. And again, it blows my mind that people who should know better, people like Kevin O'Leary, who, if you watch Shark Tank, you're like, this guy seems to know what he's doing. And he definitely understands risk management. Didn't even look under the hood. Why? I don't know the answer to that question. Further reading here. Remarkably, among the assets listed in the document was 4.1 billion of related party loans extended to Alameda. 3.3 billion of which was to Bankman-Fried's both personally and to entities he controlled. Translation. Sam Bankman-Fried was taking out personal loans from the corporation. Bankman-Fried previously said that FTX had accidentally given $8 billion. Okay. This sentence should not exist in life, but this is an actual sentence. Bankman-Fried previously said that FTX had accidentally given $8 billion of FTX customer funds to Alameda. That doesn't happen. That's an impossibility to accidentally do that. And why, like, how can a company get so big and no regulator, no institutional investor giving them money wave a red flag? And a founder like Bankman-Fried can say something like that. We accidentally gave $8 billion of customer funds. I don't think anyone's ever uttered that statement in life ever before. That's how inexperienced this guy was. And he's now tweeting things that, if I was a lawyer, I would tell him not to tweet. But I think the bigger story here, at least for me, is yes, there was corruption. Yes, Sam Bankman-Fried didn't know what he was doing. And he shouldn't have been at the helm of a $32 billion company. But ask yourself why these institutional investors, people like Sequoia, people like Mr. Wonderful, didn't even look under the hood. I don't know, but it seems odd to me. The same thing, and the big problem would be regulators. How could regulators meet with this guy and people like Gary Gensler, who sued Kim Kardashian for making $1 million on a coin she pumped, not think the same thing about Sam Bankman-Fried? Could it be that he was bribing people? Potentially. That seems like Occam's razor. Need the least amount of assumptions to get to that conclusion. But it's all coming out in the wash, and it's pretty ridiculous. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. See you guys in the next one. Peace.